Well, welcome to another episode, another Tuesday night. So, tonight we're going to cook. It's a stuffed bell pepper. And so, what I've already done, because we don't have a whole lot of time, I've already cooked my bell pepper. What I did was I boiled them. I don't know if you've ever tried that. My understanding to make it quicker, I went ahead and I boiled my bell peppers so they're already kind of soft and tender. So when I put them in the oven, I'm only putting them in the oven for maybe 10 minutes. Well, I browned my ground beef. I added onions, of course. I added garlic. I put rice, just long grain rice. I'll bring it over here so you can see it. This is what I'm stuffing my bell pepper with. And so, again, ground beef, you can use ground beef. You can use ground turkey. I use rice. I chopped up some bell peppers. I have onions. I have garlic. And then what I did, instead of using some recipes, you can use tomato paste and tomato sauce. What I did, I saw a recipe that calls for marinara sauce. And so this is what I'm using. It's just marinara sauce in here. Gave it a little twist. I already tasted it. It tastes delicious. Trust me, it tastes delicious. So for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and stuff my bell peppers for time's sake, because we don't have a whole lot of time. I'll just pick them up. And we're going to go ahead, just stuff it, put as much as you want on there. Have it overflowing. You want to overflow. You want your life to overflow. Amen. So we're going to stuff these bell peppers. Is what we're doing. Just stuff them. Pack it down in there. Stuff it. And what I also put in here, I just realized what I did too. I put my cheese in there. I saw a recipe where you can go ahead and mix your cheese. Your cheese is already, so I'm going to put cheese on top as well. But I put the cheese already in the inside as well. Can never have too much cheese is what I say. My husband loves cheese anyway. That used to be his nickname, cheese. And so that's a bell pepper, just different colors. And what I did, as you can see also, the recipe I chose, they use color red bell peppers because there's more flavor. It's supposed to be sweeter. These are sweeter than the green ones. And so just stuffing the bell peppers like so. Y'all probably say, Shanika, because I have a lot of mixture left over. That's a lot. We want a lot. We like a lot. Again, overflow, Jesus. We want those overflow blessings. He said he'll open up the windows of heaven and pour us out a blessing. We won't have room enough to receive. Okay, and so what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my cheese on top, because you know why? Everything is already done. I've already cooked and seasoned everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this cheese on top. But a whole lot of cheese. Let it overflow. Overflowing with cheese, y'all. And we're going to put this in the oven. So we're going to put it in the oven. Put your oven on 350. And we're going to put these in the oven for like 10 minutes. We're going to do it for 10 minutes. And I'm going to put this back over here. Set it over here on the side. Okay. My sauce. That sauce was real good. Okay. And so tonight, while that's cooking in the oven for 10 minutes, I want to talk about another powerful man in the Bible. Talking about Moses. Very familiar person in the Bible. You say Moses, everybody already know his story. Oh, God used him to part the Red Sea. God used him with all the plagues in the Bible. He was the man with the rod in his hand. That's who we're talking about. That Moses that God used to do all of those things. To go talk to Pharaoh. To bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. Who God gave the 10 commandments to. Who God talked to. That Moses. That's who we're talking about. But in the beginning, that Moses was reluctant. That Moses was just like you and I. I'm going to say that. In the beginning, he was not sure of his calling. He was a reluctant leader. He was a hesitant leader. Now, we're going to be real transparent here tonight. I've been that way. I've felt that way. And I'm pretty sure most of you have been that way, have felt that way, where God has told you to do something, called you to do something, and you were reluctant. You were hesitant. You said, wait a minute, God. Are you sure? Are you telling me to do this? Are you calling me to go there? Are you sure, God? He was very reluctant. And again, I believe for a lot of us, that's normal. Because you want to make sure, I know for me, let me speak for myself. I wanted to make sure that I really heard from God. Okay, God, you talking to me? Now you know my past. Come on. That's the first thing we bring up. God, you ain't nowhere in the world you can use me. You know what I've done. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow. You know all the mistakes I've made. You know all my flaws. You know all my failures. You know all my insecurities. And so I want to be real transparent tonight. You see Shanika, but you don't know what Shanika has to go through. You don't know my insecurities coming on every Tuesday. You don't know what I have to deal with, I fight with, even mentally in my mind. Lord, I'm not equipped. God, I'm not ready. God, I don't speak well. God, I don't know all this word. God, you know my past. God, I'm from Alabama. Are you sure? That's how Moses was. God, are you sure you're calling me? I can't speak. I can't even talk, God. You want me to go tell Pharaoh what? Why me, Lord? Why not somebody else, God? But you know what? Either we can do it voluntarily in the military, or we will say, or you can be voluntold. Two choices. You can do it voluntarily, or you can be voluntold. I don't want to be the latter. I don't want to have to get between a rock and a hard place. Hopefully you know what that is. I don't want to have to be between a rock and a hard place for me to accept my calling. I don't want God to have to strip me down of everything in order for me to accept my calling. I don't want to have to hit rock bottom in order for me to accept my calling. So I heard God say, you can go, you can do it voluntarily, or you can be voluntold. It's up to you. I give you choices. I give you free will. But in the end, my will shall prevail. The word says many are the plans in a man's heart, but God's purpose, Jesus, it shall prevail. So either you're going to go voluntarily or you're going to be voluntold. Let's not do the latter, y'all. And I ain't saying it's easy. Trust me, it's not easy. It's not easy. I have to say, okay, Lord, pray, speak through me, God. You give me the words to say, God. Because it's not me. Let them not see Shanika, but let them see Jesus. Let them not hear Shanika, but let them hear Jesus. Do y'all understand that? So Moses was reluctant, and I understand. I said, God, I understand. I don't want to do this. My husband said all the time, I don't want to do this. I could be doing other things. But God said, that ain't what I called you to do, other things. I called you to do this. Jesus. Have y'all ever been called to do something, but reluctant to do it? Hesitant to do it. You're wondering, Lord, will they receive me? Will they believe me, God? When I tell them what you told me to tell them, will they accept it, God? And he's saying, that's not for you to worry about. You do what I've called you to do and let me handle them. Jesus. Exactly what he told Moses, y'all. Don't worry about if they will receive you. Don't worry about if Pharaoh will believe you. You go and do what I told you to do and let me handle the rest. Jesus. Moses, what I said, Moses never thought he would be leading the children of Israel to the promised land. He never thought, y'all. He said, I'm just a shepherd boy. I'm just a shepherd boy. My job is to lead sheep. That's my job, to be in this field leading sheep. And I heard God say, yeah, that was just on the job training. Jesus. Another thing we do in the military is called on the job training. That was just on the job training. You in that field, leading those sheep, was getting you ready to lead my sheep, my people, the children of Israel out of Egypt. That was just your stomping ground. That was your on the job training. That was your experience that I needed you to do in order for you to be able to lead my sheep. That was animals, but he's talking about sheep, which is the children of Israel. Those are sheep. We are God's sheep. He's the shepherd. We are the sheep. He said, my sheep knows my voice, and a stranger's voice they will not follow. Come on, somebody. He said, feed my sheep. Baby, I was just preparing you. I was just preparing you to lead my new sheep, humans' sheep. You led animals' sheep. Now I need you to lead the human sheep, Jesus. I felt like God said the same thing. Shanika, you led people in the military. You used to leading airmen. In the military, you led airmen. And now what I need you to do, I need you to lead believers. I need you to lead saints, men and women of God. Jesus. I need you to lead Christians. Jesus. I was preparing you. Them years you did, over 22 years, that was preparing you, Jesus, to what I need you to do right now, what I'm calling you to do. So let me say that. I want to pause right there. Don't ever think what you're doing right now is worthless. What you're doing right now is useless, Jesus. That's your on-the-job training. God is using you. God is molding you. God is shaping you to do what he's called you to do. Nothing wasted. Nothing God tells us to do is wasted. Nothing in our life, I'm realizing, is ever wasted. Jesus. God can use that thing. He can use that in your next season of your life. I even tell my kids, you learn from everything you go through. You learn what to do, but you also learn what not to do. So don't ever think, okay, I'm just working on this job right now. I'm just wasting my time. I'm just spinning my wheel. You're not. I'm talking to somebody tonight. You're not wasting your time, baby. You're not wasting your time, my brother. You're not wasting your time, my sister. God can use that. The same way he used Moses, the same way he can use you. Take that experience. Take all of that knowledge. Jesus. Take all of that information. Take all of that data and put it in the kingdom. Lord, how can I use this for you? How can I use this gift for you? How can I use this talent for you? How can I use this to serve you in your kingdom? Come on, somebody. That's the God we serve. He's a good God, nothing wasted. Nothing we go through is ever wasted. That's how he can turn that thing around and work it out for our good, Jesus. Because he's a good God. You used his experience as a shepherd. He didn't even know. He thought, I'm just in this field with these sheep, telling them what to do and where to go and when to eat, just leading these sheep. Jesus. He said I had to do the same thing for the children of Israel. I had to tell them what to do, where to go, where not to go, how to live. Jesus. The same thing. Leading sheep. Come on, somebody. So let's look at how it started. Because we're looking at people that had to endure, that had to persevere through the hard times. I don't want to hear about nobody that just got it all together. I want to know what you went through. I want to know that process. Jesus, you went through to get to where you are. That's the part I want to hear about. I want to hear about that process. Sometimes we look at the final product. We look at this ring and think, oh, that's a nice ring. Oh, that's a beautiful ring. But we don't know what it took to get that ring to be beautiful. We look at gold, we look at earrings and necklaces and say, oh, those are so nice. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of jewelry. But what did it take for that jewelry to become earrings? What did it take for that jewelry to become a necklace? What did it take for that jewelry to become a ring? The gold had to go through a process. Jesus. It had to go through the fire. It had to be tested. It had to be tried. It had to be beat down. It had to be pressed down. Jesus. It had to be molded. Jesus. It had to be formed. It had to be shaped to look like this. It didn't just automatically come out like this. It had to be molded. It had to be shaped to look like this. God is saying, baby, you ain't gonna just come out with everything all together. You got to be molded. You got to be shaped. You got to be formed. The word says he's the potter and we are the clay. Hallelujah. Y'all know what clay is molded. When you get a pottery bowl, I was looking at this. We were in Germany, Polish pottery. When you're making things like this in pottery and glasses and bowls, y'all, it had to be molded. It had to be formed, y'all. In order to get like this, it had to go through a process. So I want to talk a little bit about Moses' process as we take this out. Here are my, y'all see them? We're going to let it cool off a little bit because I know they're hot. So as we letting this cool off, stuffed bell peppers, it looks delicious. We're going to talk about the process. We're going to talk about what Moses had to go through. I analyzed his life. I said, okay, he was born at an unusual time, very unusual time. We think going through the pandemic was rough. If you want to compare going through the pandemic, the things that we had to go through when the pandemic first happened, y'all, that was hard. But just imagine what Moses had to go through, what his parents had to go through. He was born in a time where Pharaoh, the king, was killing babies. He put an order out there. He put a decree, a mandate out there to kill any child, male child, underneath the age of 2. And so when Moses' mom had him, she had him in this era where she couldn't even have him. She had to hide her baby. This is his upbringing. A lot of times we may not realize it is, and since we've been going through therapy, realizing a lot of stuff stems from childhood. And so that's why I want to look at his childhood. I want to look at his upbringing, because I believe a lot of things that we go through in life, a lot of our issues, a lot of our pain and suffering, it stems from childhood. So if you look at Moses' childhood, his mom had him, so she had to hide him in fear that he would be killed, y'all. Can you even imagine? I'm a mom of 3. I couldn't even imagine having to live in fear that he might be killed. Just imagine what we lived in during the pandemic when we lived in fear because we didn't want to catch COVID. We had to stay inside our homes for fear that we would catch COVID and die. Just imagine how you felt then in 2020, in 2021. I'm pretty sure she felt a similar fear. She felt a similar way when she had to hide her son in fear that he would be killed. And so my understanding, 3 months, she hid him for 3 months until she couldn't hide him anymore. She made a decision. How she came to this decision, I don't know. But I believe God has something to do with it. I believe she had faith in the God she served to know, okay, God, you blessed me with this child. Now I trust and believe that you're going to protect this child. You're going to watch over this child. You're going to keep him covered, Jesus, underneath the blood. Hallelujah. And so she came to this decision, y'all. She put him in a basket and she put him in the river. Y'all know the story. Pharaoh's daughter comes to this same river and sees a basket. Her servant sees a basket going down the river. So they get this basket out the river. To me, this is the goodness of God. This story can sound unbelievable. His mom put him in the river. Pharaoh's daughter happened to be there in the area. Her and her maids happened to be there in the area. They get him out the river. She sees this baby. And she says, I'm going to name him Moses because I drew you out. Jesus. I drew you out of the river. Y'all remember that. Moses was used by God as he got older to draw out the people of Israel, to bring them out of Egypt, to bring them out of slavery. Come on, somebody. You can't tell me God ain't good. She drew him out the river, and God used him, used his life. You was drawn out. Some will use you to bring others out. Jesus. God is saying tonight, I want to use one of you. I want to use you to draw out somebody. I want to use you to bring somebody out. The same way I used Moses. This is awesome. His sister happened to come by, and she hears them talking. We need to find a Hebrew woman to come nurse this child. So the sister says, I know somebody. I'll go find somebody for you. Don't worry about that. I'll do this. They didn't even know who the little girl was. They didn't know that was Moses' sister. She said, I'll go find somebody. Y'all know what? She went and told her mom. She went and found her mom. She said, Mom, Pharaoh's daughter just pulled Moses out the river. Jesus. Pharaoh's daughter just pulled my brother out the river. And she's looking for a woman, a Hebrew woman, to come nurse him, to come take care of him, to come live in the palace, Jesus, to come live underneath the same roof of the man that wanted to kill the babies and take care of him, Jesus. How good God is, y'all. You can't tell me God ain't good. You can't tell me God is not good. Y'all, we got to eat. We're going to try this. We're going to try this. Hopefully it's cool off by now. It's still a little warm. So she raised him, y'all. Just imagine the life. We can tell it was a tug of war because he had his mom, Miriam's, Pharaoh's daughter, but then he had his mom, his biological mother, who raised him, who took care of him for Miriam. Just imagine, he knew he was a Hebrew. He knew, okay, I'm not really, this is not really my family. This is not really my family. So imagine his mental state. Imagine what he had to go through mentally, torn between, okay, the two. But you know what? He had to make a choice. Jesus. God gives us choices. We have to make a choice. The word says, choose ye this day who you're going to serve. We will all come to a point in our lives, hallelujah, where we have to make a choice. And Moses had to make a choice. He struggled with, okay, God, you've called me. You first of all, my childhood. Look what I went through. Look what I had to go through. And then you're calling me to lead, to bring somebody out. I was the one that was pulled out. And now you want me to go pull somebody out. You want me to go lead the people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. I can't do this. So Moses ran. He did. Go read his story. He ran from his calling because he didn't understand. He couldn't comprehend. I'm just a shepherd boy. I can't even talk. But God says, will you trust me? Will you trust me? It says, Hebrews 11, starting at verse 23. It says, by faith, that's the word. By faith, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born because they saw he was no ordinary child. Jesus. Come on, somebody. It says, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, it says, Moses, when he had grown up, refused choice. He refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He had to make a choice. It says he chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. Jesus. He had to make a choice. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. It says, by faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. The king put out an order to kill Moses. Go back and read. So this is all of his suffering, everything he had to go through. The king put a hit out on him. Pharaoh put a hit out on him. But he still persevered. It says he persevered because he saw him who is invisible. He saw God. When he ran and tried to escape in the wilderness, y'all know about the burning bush. He saw that was the invisible. He had an encounter with God. He said, okay, God, wait a minute. It's a bush over here burning, but it's not burning. Jesus. It's burning, but it's not burning. Jesus. Come on, somebody. He had an encounter with God. It says, so by faith, he kept the Passover and the application of blood so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. That's the God we serve. That's the takeaway. We have to walk by faith and not by sight. We got to trust God, y'all. Even if when we don't want to do it, we got to do it anyway. Even when you don't want to do it anyway. Go anyway. I want to go voluntarily. That's the takeaway tonight. Either you can do it voluntarily or you can be voluntold. But either way, you have a choice to make. Jesus. Just like Moses, we have a choice to make on tonight. Who are you going to serve? Are you going to serve God or are you going to serve man? The word says you can't serve two masters. You either going to love one and hate the other. Come on, somebody. We have a choice to make on tonight. And my choice has been, Lord, yes. I give you my yes. I'll go anyway. I'll do it anyway. I'll do it scared. I'll do it not knowing how it's going to work out. My answer is yes. At this point of my life, my answer is yes. There is no other way. No turning back for me. It is what it is. For God I live, and for God I die. And on tonight, I pray that's your same testimony. So we're going to eat because I'm pretty sure it's cool. It has to be well cool by now. I say it all the time, but I really appreciate you guys for your support, for always watching. It's really good. Really, really, really good. My husband said, you always say it's good. Y'all, this is good. Hopefully you can see it. Stuffed bell pepper. It's really good. God bless you. And I love you.